Hey, everybody, Tuesday again. So that means it's time for Tuesdays in the Shop. And this week we have a special guest with us. Everybody say hi to Sarah Fielke. Is that right, how I just said your last name? It just occurred to me. I never said it out loud before until that very moment. Yeah, that was right.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit. So welcome, Sarah. And the reason we have Sarah on today is because we want to hear from Sarah about her block of the month that's starting next year. If you're on our mailing list, you've already gotten emails from us about it. It's called the Big Woods Block of the Month, and it's one of the style of it is like what I love about what Sarah is doing. It's traditional needle turn applique made modern with the fabrics. So you're getting to learn all those really sort of couture traditional techniques, but you're making something cool and modern that you want to use in today's world, right? And it's also all using Tula Pink fabric. Well, I can let her talk it up. Let me show it to you. Let's see what it looks like, okay? So I'm going to share my screen here. And I'm going to show you the awesome quilt, which is all about woodland animals. Sarah, how did you come up with this idea for this quilt?
Well, Chula and I have been talking for a long time about doing something together, and we've been trying to figure out what that something was going to be. And we've been friends for a long time, and we finally decided that yes, it would be a block of the month. And then I said, well, what is it that you want me to do? Like, have you got an idea about what you want this quilt to be? No. I want you to just do it however you want to do it, but it has to have animals. I'm like, okay, so however I want to do it. And she's like, yeah, but it has to have animals, and it has to be in the woods, and it has to be cute. And I was like, okay, well, so that's kind of where we came to with the animals in the woods.
And that's so in Tula's wheelhouse, right? She has all those fabrics with animals on it, and like that's what she's known for, bright colors and animals. And
yeah,
we sell a lot of Tula fabric because everybody loves it. Yeah.
Well, that's because it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
This quilt has a lot of Chula basics in it. So there are a few newer ones. There's obviously the neons, which is the background behind the leaves there, the little sashing pieces, and also the binding. And there's a few bits of besties and a few bits and pieces like that. But I went with things that I knew that we could get lots of, so that we can make lots of kits. So there's all of Chula's, like, basic comeback, dots and stripes, unicorn poop, all of that kind of stuff, all the ones that everybody loves all the time.
Yeah. And I have a couple of close-up pictures that you gave us. The full quilt is really pretty, but you can't really see the detail in it until you look at like just one block by itself. And then it's like, oh, look at these toes. Like, this is so cute.
So now you've hit on probably the most difficult block in the whole quilt. So this is a good time for me to talk about for the people that are sitting out there going, I can't do that. Oh, look at that tail. Oh my God. So there are options for you. So the whole idea of this block of the month is to learn a new skill, unless, of course, you're already an appliquer, which, lots of you are. But we'll talk about that part in a minute. If you have never done any kind of hand applique before, I'm literally going to teach you everything from how to thread your little fine milliner's needle right up to making the templates and doing curves and all kinds of stuff, and doing the really tricky parts like the little jagged part on this guy's tail. And we work through the quilt from the easy blocks to the hard blocks. So it's not going to like go from the top to the bottom or whatever. We're literally going to start with the easy ones and then move through. So by the time you get to these trickier bits, you'll have learned how to do the things. And if you do get to this bit and you go, no, I learned the things, but I'm still really scared about that tail, then there are actually going to be some simpler shapes included each month, so that you can choose to do the slightly easier version of the tail or the slightly more difficult version of the tail. So it's really customizable. And also all of the templates are suited for needle turn applique or fusible machine applique. So if you decide,
I didn't notice that detail. I didn't remember that detail. Thank you for pointing that out.
Yep. So if you really, really think I can't do this, or you've hand appliqued all of the animals and then you want to fuse all of the leaves, for example, to make it go faster or something like that, then all of those options are available to you. And I don't teach the machine applique at all. It's just not my thing. But there are so many, you know, great tutorials online about how to machine applique. If you wanted to do that, you can just Google and find one. And I think Chula is going to talk a little bit about machine appliquing with a Benina, because she has done that before. But it's certainly not I won't be teaching you how to machine applique, but I will be teaching you how to do every single tiny little bit of all of these beautiful shapes.
So will Tula be in your videos with you in the class videos?
She will. She will.
Okay.
So yeah, we've been friends for such a long time, and we mostly get to spend time with each other at either Quilt Market or at the outdoor quilt show at Sisters. We both teach there every year, and we room together. And we've been saying for such a long time, we'd really like some time to just sew together and, you know, have a bit of fun. So she's going to fly out here to Australia in March, and she's going to film all the videos with me, and then she's having a little holiday at my house. So that's going to be
awesome.
Really good. She's not doing any events, any Australians watching.
No,
she's not doing any events. She's literally coming here for a holiday and to film these videos. So it's going to be really, I'm so looking forward to it. I can't wait.
I'm jealous. I want to go too.
It's going to be fun. And I think you'll find that the videos are going to be mayhem. We have a lot of fun together. So,
and it's always better when you're having fun with the person you're working with. Everything comes out better. So since this, I also wasn't really thinking of this as a skill builder, but it really is, right? You're starting with the easier blocks and then going more complicated. Is this one of the easier ones that I have open now?
It's certainly one of the easy. Yeah, it is one of the easier ones. The applique on the tree is a little more difficult than some of the easier parts, but it's one of the easier ones. Yeah, the little house has some slightly tricky piecing in it. Like if you're a beginner piecer, you might find bits in that roof a bit difficult, but I'll show you a bit later all the template sets and things that I have to go with this quilt, and there is templates for the roof that will make that a little easier to cut and piece together. So, because that's the only tricky part. But yeah, it's certainly the most tricky piecing in the quilt, that's for sure.
Cool. I really like how there's bear paws in the corners too. It's so pretty.
Yeah, well, that was part of my kind of idea of theming it. I've always got a little, you know, plan in my head about all the different things that are going on in the quilt. Some of it's slightly insane. Like all the animals have names. Okay. And they all have personality.
That's great.
Yeah. So the bear's paw was like, you know, we're in the woods, so obviously you've got to have a bear's paw block. So that was part of the theme. But then like the squirrel's name is Mr. Nutter, and the bear's name is Bruce. And yeah, the skunk's name is Dulcie. She's a figure skater. Yeah, she's a dedicated figure skater. So everybody has their own little backstory, and that's going to be, some of it's been on my Instagram, and there will be a bit more after Christmas about the other animals. But each month there'll be like a little story about the animal that we're making, and there'll also be some little extras here and there. So if you are a dedicated appliquer already, or if you're a beginner and you're just gonna dive in and just go the whole hog, each little animal has a few extras each month that's going to go into the block to make it busier if you want to do more applique. So there will be little extra bits and pieces, and there's also some other little fun add-ons that are secret that are going to kind of come out as we go through. So we've got all kinds of fun things planned. We can't stop having ideas. We need to stop at some point.
So that really means that people can make the quilt their own, right? Like they can pick whether they include the bird or whether they add the extra stuff, or maybe they put the bird on the side of the bear or whatever.
That's right? Absolutely right. The quilt is customizable, and you can make it as much or as little as you want to. You know, and you can also do whichever kind of applique you want to. So it's really a very fluid program, this one, and it's a real kind of, you know, introduction to applique, I suppose. While we're talking about the animals' backstories, Andrea's just asked me about their backstories. I'll give you one while we're talking about it, Andrea. I've just got to open it so I'm reading it out correctly. So Mr. Nutter, who's the squirrel, he enjoys reading crime novels and singing in the rain. So that's his little that's his little backstory. They get expanded as the program goes along, but that's his little MO. Crime novels and singing in the rain. Everyone has a thing.
When I look at this, I think like I kind of want to make it too, but I don't think I could get through all those leaves.
I think you'd be surprised because we don't do them all at once. That's the other thing. Okay. So we don't like, do the deer block and then do the, and then put it together and then put every single leaf on, because that would just be cruel and unusual.
Because that's totally what I was expecting. It would be like the last step. Okay.
No. Like I've done a lot of these Block of the Month programs now, and I know when to torture people and when not. Like you've got to eke the sewing out. So no, we do it in stages. And yeah, it's much more manageable than you think. The first month, if you're not an applique, you might be like, oh my goodness, all of these points. But they're quite big. They're, big leaves. They don't have super pointy points. They're really not that difficult to sew. And as I say, if you were worried about it, you could easily machine applique those and then hand applique the animals. So there's ways around all of those leaves, but we do them in batches. That doesn't all happen at once.
Right. And what I always say when I'm teaching needle turn is that like a leaf isn't an exact shape, right? So like if your leaf is slightly lopsided or slightly pointier or slightly rounder, like that's fine. It still looks like a leaf, right? It's just, you don't have to drive yourself crazy.
Yeah. All of my Block of the Months, the applique is quite organic. I don't think that applique needs to be like precision piecing. It's how you interpret it. And, if your skunk's nose is a little bit wobbly, or the wolf's tail sits at a different angle than mine or something, that doesn't matter. It's like drawing with fabric applique. It's different than piecing. It doesn't have to be precision perfect.
Right, because it doesn't have to like fit into each other. It's going on top.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
I really enjoy needle turn applique, but I have a tendency to start things and not finish them. Andrea's laughing at home right now because I always start something and then hand it to her to try to get her to finish it for me. But she does not like needle turn, so I could not pawn this off on her if I were to start it.
Well, the other thing is that my method of needle turn is a little bit different than a lot of methods. I've been teaching needle turn applique for 25 years, and when I started, people would come into our shop and say, oh, no, I can't make that quilt. I can't do applique. It's too hard, or it takes too long, or whatever. So I've developed a technique over the years, which is a kind of a mishmash of a few different things that I learned around the place and a few things I picked up, that I've developed myself. And there's no prep. We don't use paper. We don't baste anything. There's no tricky bits at all. You literally need a silver gel pen, liquid applique glue, milliner's needles, and your fingers. And it's cut out and sew. There's no back basting. I don't do any of that. So it does make it a lot quicker and I think a lot more user-friendly. If you want to do the quilt, like if you're already an appliquer and you love doing whatever method it is, because there's a million different methods out there, like everything, then this is suited to do however you want it. You don't have to do it the way that I do it, but the way that I teach it.
Right.
If you're a beginner, I think you'll find it quite approachable and not nearly as much work as hand applique is normally perceived to be.
I had told you that I had signed up for one of your Block of the Months a while ago, but of course I didn't actually make it. So I never watched your tutorials for how to do your version of needle turn. I had learned from Carolyn Friedlander a long time ago, and it's that version where you baste like a 1/4 inch in and you fold it under to that. So now I'm really curious to take yours so that I can learn your technique.
We don't do any of that stuff. I mean, I know how to do it all. I've been teaching applique for a long time. But, most people want to get to the sewing part, right? That's the fun bit. You don't want to be prepping your block for 48 hours before you're allowed to pick up a needle. And this, once you've picked your fabrics, and if you have the kit, then you don't have to pick the fabrics. It's all laid out for you. You literally just cut out your templates, draw around them, and sew. It's very, very easy. Yeah, very easy.
So let's talk about the fabric for a minute. So Sarah just alluded to the fabric that was used in the sample. If you want to make this quilt exactly how it's pictured in the sample, you can. We are selling fabric packs for the Big Woods block of the month, and you get all the fabrics exactly the same as in the picture. I know a lot of people want to know what it's going to look like, so it's nice to get a kit so you know exactly how it's going to come out. But in this one in particular, you do get to make some decisions on your own if you want to. You can make it exactly like the picture, or you can add to it, or you can subtract from it. The block of the month doesn't start until next summer. Does it start in August?
1st of August, yeah.
Right. But because of the way fabric is made and manufactured and timelines, we have to sell you this kit by January to get the order in so that you'll receive it in July, because the production of these fabric packs takes a while for the factories to do. So the cutoff for ordering this is actually January. January. Yeah, not July. July is when it ships. So this cutoff date is January 14th of this year, and it won't ship until July. I know that that's a very long way away, but that's just the way it works in terms of having time to put it together. There's 64 different fabrics in this fabric pack. So you can imagine a warehouse with a bunch of people folding fabric, like that takes a minute to get done. So that's why it's such a big lead time if you want to use this fabric, but it's not required. You could join the block of the month on Sarah's website and bring your own fabrics, use your stash, or I don't know, do it all in Brelouse or something, and not necessarily use the fabrics that she used on the original.
Yeah. So the way that the sign-ups work, my block of the month runs through my own website every year. And the reason that we do that is because of the videos. So we have to host them somewhere. So on the 1st of April, the subscriptions will open for this block of the month. And if you want to be reminded about that, the best thing to do is to go to my website right now. Just Sarah
the link.
And there is a little thing up the top that you click on, says Big Woods, gives you all of the information, tells you all about it, lists all the shops stocking it, all of those sorts of things, gives you all the dates, and then down the bottom it says, are you wanting to be reminded? Put your email address in there, and then on the 1st of April, we will send you a message saying, don't forget, today the sign-ups are open. Once you've signed up, get a link that gets you to make an account at my website, and then you can go in any time that you want to and see the Big Woods. If you want to watch the videos over and over, you can do that. You can download your patterns when they come up, and then you don't lose access either. That's the other thing to remember. If you don't finish this quilt in a year, you keep access at my website. Your account stays the same. So you can keep going back and watching those for 18 months or whatever it is until you've actually finished.
So that means you can still watch the video from the one I bought like years ago? I didn't know that.
Yep. All of them stay the same because, you know, not everybody finishes a quilt in a year. And I, you know, I know what it's like. I'm a quilter as well as a designer. I'm a you know, quilting customer as much as I am a quilting designer. And sometimes you start something else and you put it aside for a little while and you want to go back to it. So yeah, any block of the month of mine that you purchase, you still have access to afterwards.
That's awesome. I guess I should go make that quilt.
You should immediately.
Yeah.
I look forward to seeing
laughing at her house right now, I'm sure. All right. So you can order the fabric pack from us, and we also are offering a couple more things that you might want to add. If you want a backing that coordinates, we have a backing option that you can add. These are my favorite applique scissors ever, the Karen K. Buckley 6-inch perfect scissors. I don't know if you use a different brand, don't you?
No,
they're really such wonderful scissors.
Love her scissors, all of them.
Yeah.
I use them in all sizes.
Oh, do you? What do you use the different sizes for?
I like the big ones for cutting out, you know, the big purple handle ones for cutting out like cutting the batting off the edge of a quilt or something like that. Or if I'm cutting out a bag or something, I use the big scissors. I use these little blue ones for cutting out my applique shapes.
Yeah.
And the little tiny green ones are really nice for clipping into your curves and stuff like that. So yeah, I use them all.
We've only ever carried the blue ones because when I bought the blue ones, I was like, I don't need another pair of scissors ever again, basically. But now I kind of want to go buy some of the other ones and try them out.
Yeah, and I also use it, guys, because I stock them all as well. I absolutely love them. I also use the multi-purpose, the orange handled ones for cutting out my templates, because then you don't use these ones on paper and wreck your nice
Right.
fabrics.
Yep, I have paper/plastic scissors that are not fancy, you know, like $8 scissors that I just use for paper and plastic.
Yeah. No, I'm a bit Karen K. Buckley obsessed, so I have the collection.
Yeah. So the other thing that we added to the tools is this glue that Sarah uses that is not a standard thing that most people would have in their toolkit yet. So we added that in. And also the last thing is a coordinating thread set that Sarah picked out herself. It's Orfil 80 weight cotton, which if you've ever done needle turn with this thread, it just melts and disappears. So like your stitches don't have to be perfect. You don't see them because it's such thin thread. And Sarah picked the colors that coordinate really well. So if you use, and you match to the applique fabric, I'm assuming.
Yeah,
right?
that's right. Yeah.
So you choose a thread that's close to your top fabric, and then you don't see your stitches, and you don't have to be so critical of whether you're doing a good job with your stitches, because it just melts right in. If like picking the right thread color makes a really big difference.
Yeah,
And
for hand applique, it really does make a huge difference, the thread that you use and the needles that you use, because it's almost impossible to take an invisible stitch with a massive, big, thick needle and big, chunky thread. So if you have a nice little thin needle and beautiful thin thread, then it's much, much easier to make it all disappear. And
yeah. And this gray here, this is 2600. This is my favorite Orifil color. I use this as my default because it kind of just like melts into everything. So if I don't have the right color, I just use that color for everything.
And that literally is there for the few fabrics in the quilt that, you know, because obviously I couldn't have every single perfect shade of everything, or the set would have been a million spools big. So that one's a little sneaky hider for a few of the ones that we didn't put an exact thread in for.
Yeah. And by the way, we did not coordinate this. This is real. She put 2600 in, and that's my color. Like everyone knows 2600 is my color. When we actually used to sell only the 2600 80 weight in the store. So like anytime anybody wanted 80 weight thread, this is the only color we ever sold. Because it goes there.
It does. It does. Yeah. It's very, very helpful, especially for EPP and stuff. It disappears in your little.
Yeah. And I've seen people machine piecing with it now too, when they're doing foundation paper piecing, so that they can get an even more crisp. I haven't tried that yet, but it does make sense to me, especially if you're doing something tiny.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to put the QR code up on the screen. If you scan this code, it'll take you to the website to the page that we have set up with all the Big Woods Block of the Month options that you have to order from us. And the big thing to keep in mind is that you do have to order that fabric pack pretty soon. There's less than a month left to get it in, because we have to place an order with Free Spirit by whatever the date I said was January 14th. Yeah.
You order so 14th.
Cutting off the 14th because we have to order it on the 15th. And then it'll ship to you in July to start the Block of the Month in August.
Yep.
Does anyone have any questions? You can type it right in the chat and we will answer whatever question you have. Sarah, are you running? You have another Block of the Month that starts in January, don't you?
Yeah. I do, yeah. So the Block of the Month I've been running this year has just finished now. So there was like a 6-month gap, and, you know, I like to keep people entertained. So I have another Block of the Month running that starts on the 15th January. The subscriptions are open right now at my website. It's called Stop Thief.
I was going to say that one's the thief one, right? I'm going to show everybody.
So the idea of it is that I collaborated with my friend Robin, who is the Liberty distributor in Australia, for to get the fabrics. So she's done a kit for it, but you can, like with this one, you can do it in any colors that you want to, and it would look absolutely smashing in Chula Pink, I have to say, but also other things. But that's the inspiration for the little center part. It's the strawberry thief flying away with the needle, like from the classic Liberty fabric. So this is just a 6-month program, just to keep you entertained until Big Woods starts. and we have template sets and thread sets and all that stuff. It's all sitting there ready to go, but it is very large hand needle turn applique. So that center part is kind of a nice little segue into big woods if you're wanting to practice before you get going. That center is like, I think the circle's like 36 inches. That's big, really big applique. And the outside part is slightly more complicated applique with a couple of little bits of EPP in the corners. So it's just a fun little, I think it comes out at like, it's a throw quilt or a wall quilt. It comes out about 68 inches, I think. So it's not enormous. It's just kind of a nice little break in between before we lead into the big woods.
Yeah. So if you are sold on this whole concept from this video, you can start something in January instead of having to wait until August to start big woods.
It's a long time till August. I feel like I'm psyching everyone up to do applique, and then I'm like, oh, but you can't do it now. No.
And like, we struggle with that so much too, because we have to place our orders so far ahead of when it actually ships, right? So it's like I'm explaining it to people and everything else, and then by the time it comes, I have to promote some other thing instead.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. No, it's a long time. So Stop Thief's ready now, and the material requirements are available. So if you want to give needle turn applique a go while you're waiting for big woods to start, you can sign up, download your material requirements, email a vet. And she'll send you a whole bunch of pretty stuff, and then you can start.
And you have a coloring sheet, right, to help people decide what colors they're going to use. Yeah.
Yep, there's a colouring sheet, and there'll be one for big woods as well as we get closer. It just gives you, if you're not going to use the kit or if you want to substitute some things out, it's just a nice way to kind of plan your own little journey and see what happens. And I've got instructions about like using online colorings and things to like change your background and see what it would look like on a navy background, for example, or something like that. So yeah, I've sort of got all those options there for you that you can play with if you want to do that.
And do you still have a Facebook group where people can talk to each other if they're in the block of the month?
I do. So my Facebook group is Sarah Fielke Quilts, and it's for all my block of the month. So if you join there right now, you'll see everybody that's been working on all my previous block of the month programs through stores, because they're still running all of them down the rabbit hole, and all the previous ones through shops all over the place. And then you'll also see all the people who've just finished up the 2023 block of the month, and you'll be able to see kind of how it works and how everyone's progressed and all that kind of thing. And there'll be people in there getting ready for Stop Thief, and I know there are a lot of people in there getting ready for Big Woods. So join and say hi. It's a fun group. There's lots of
What
us.
did you say the group was called again? I'm going to put the link to
Sarah Fielke Quilts. It's a private group, so you've got a request to join. It's just so that I can make sure that, I don't have it full of spammers.
Yeah, that's hard on Facebook. Okay, so I put that link in the comments as well, in case anyone wants to go straight to socializing with other block of the month people.
Yeah, it's a fun group, and there's girls in there that have done like all 13 or however many quilts there are now of my block of the month quilts. So
yeah,
you'll get some
yeah
about how much work it is, and all of those sorts of things. But yeah, cool.
Thank you so much for coming today. It doesn't look like people have questions, but if anyone shoots me a question afterwards, you can always email us if you think of something later. And if I don't know the answer, I will ask Sarah, and then I will get back to you.
Welcome to ask me. I'm very, very accessible on social media as well, on Instagram.
Right. Let's put your social media link in so people can follow you.
So, I'm S Fielke on Instagram. And yeah, Sarah Fielke Quilts or Sarah Fielke Textile Designer is my business page. Whichever of those, I will be around to chat to you. So, or you can message me through my website, or you can skip it. I'm very easy to get hold of.
Good. Yeah, I think Instagram might be the easiest for people.
Yeah,
maybe not everyone, but a lot of people use it.
Lots of yeah. Cool.
And you always post fun things on your Instagram, because for those of us who are not in Australia, which, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, that's where Sarah is. It's 10 in the morning yesterday there for her.
Tomorrow.
Oh, tomorrow.
Yeah, I live in Tomorrowland.
So we even talked about this and I was sure that I had it right and I still didn't have it right. I hate time zones. Yeah. So she posts all these cool things about life in the other hemisphere. And it's really interesting for me to see, Andrea's saying, thank you, Sarah.
Thanks for coming, Andrea.
So thanks everyone for coming. We will be back. Wait, are we back next week, Andrea? No, we're not back next week because next week is Christmas week. Sorry, I got to pull up a calendar. I don't remember what day it is or what year it is or,
Which is just giving me all
what
kinds
time
of
zone it is. Right. So we are off next week because next week would be the 26th. So no live next week. And Andrea, if you're still watching, did we decide we're doing a live on the 2nd? Because I don't remember if we decided that or not. I don't know if she's still there. Stay tuned for whether we will do a live on the 2nd because I have to sync up with Andrea to see exactly what's happening on that day. But thanks for joining us, and we will definitely be back in the new year. And maybe we'll have another fun guest coming. Sarah, I'm so sorry. You were supposed to come to New York City in 2020, remember?
I do.
It's like
yes.
one of the...
COVID put paid to lots of things, didn't it?
Yeah, 2020 would have been an awesome year for us had the world not gone crazy, like... Oh, Rebecca's saying she's going to do both projects.
Good on you, Rebecca. Brave girl.
Nice. So anyway, thank you for joining us, and thank you everybody for watching, and we'll be back either on the 2nd or the week after that. I will let you know. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Sarah, very much.
Thanks a bit.
Good night. Oh, I can't press the button. Oh, there we go.